Maya Richardson adjusted the worn backpack on her shoulder and walked toward the gleaming showroom of Prestige Motors, Manhattan's most exclusive luxury automotive dealership. The building was all glass and chrome, displaying $200,000 vehicles like jewelry in a museum case. She'd dressed carefully for this assessment: faded jeans, a plain black t-shirt, sneakers that had seen better days. Her natural hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry except the smartwatch hidden under her sleeve, currently recording everything. At 34, Maya was the youngest automotive journalist to win the industry's prestigious Callahan Award. She'd built her career reviewing everything from budget sedans to hypercars, always focusing on one question: who was the automotive industry really serving? For the past 6 months, she'd been investigating claims of discriminatory sales practices at luxury dealerships. 23 complaints filed with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, all describing similar experiences: customers of color being ignored, followed, quoted higher prices, or steered toward lower-end vehicles regardless of their actual financial capability. Prestige Motors had the most complaints, 8 in 18 months. Management had responded to each with variations of misunderstanding and no evidence of systemic issues. So Maya had arranged her own test. Her editor knew. Her lawyer knew. The recording device she wore knew. Nobody at Prestige Motors had any idea that the broke college student walking through their door controlled one of the industry's most influential review platforms and was considering a $2.3 million investment in their parent company. The automatic doors slid open. Cold air-conditioned air mixed with the scent of leather and new car smell. Classical music played softly. The showroom floor held 6 vehicles, each positioned to catch the light perfectly. A white couple in their 50s stood near a silver sedan, speaking with a salesperson who laughed at something they said. Another salesperson assisted a young white man examining a sports car. Maya walked toward the receptionist desk. The young white woman behind it looked up, her professional smile flickering for just a fraction of a second. "Can I help you?" The tone was friendly enough, but Maya had trained herself to hear the subtle difference between "can I help you" and "can I help you." "I'd like to test drive the GTS Coupe," Maya said, gesturing toward the $180,000 vehicle in the center of the showroom. The receptionist's eyebrows rose slightly. "The GTS? That's quite a vehicle. Have you driven one before?" "No. That's why I'd like to test drive it." "Well, we typically require pre-qualification for test drives of our premium vehicles. Insurance purposes, you understand." Maya had called ahead yesterday, using a different name, a more professional voice. They'd offered her an immediate appointment, no mention of pre-qualification. "I wasn't told that when I called yesterday." "You called yesterday?" The receptionist checked her computer. "I don't see any appointment under." "I'm sorry, what was your name?" "Maya Richardson. But I called under my professional name." She pulled out a business card, not her journalist credentials, her investment company card. "Maya Richardson, Richardson Capital Ventures." The receptionist barely glanced at it. "I see. Well, Mr. Thompson handles our premium vehicles. Let me check if he's available." She picked up the phone, turning slightly away. "David, there's someone here interested in the GTS." "Right. Okay." Maya watched a salesperson named Marcus approach the white couple. "Folks, let me grab the keys and we can take that beauty for a spin. I think you're going to love how it handles." No mention of pre-qualification. No insurance concerns. Just immediate service. The receptionist hung up. "Mr. Thompson will be with you in a moment. You can wait in the lounge area." She gestured toward a corner with leather chairs, noticeably separate from the main showroom floor. Maya sat, pulling out her phone. She opened Twitter and began documenting. Day 1 of luxury dealership assessment. Asked to test drive $180,000 vehicle. Told I need pre-qualification. White couple next to me offered immediate test drive. No qualification mentioned. #retail discrimination. The tweet was from her professional journalism account. 200,000 followers. It was live in seconds. David Thompson emerged from the back office. Mid-40s, expensively dressed, hairstyled with precision. His smile was practiced but didn't reach his eyes as he approached Maya. Ms. Richardson, David Thompson, senior sales consultant. He didn't offer to shake hands. I understand you're interested in the GTS. I'd like to test drive it. Of course, of course. First, let's talk about what brings you in today. Are you currently in the market for a vehicle? Yes, that's why I'm here. What are you driving now? A 2019 Honda Civic. David's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. I see. And you're looking to move up to something in the GTS category. That's quite a jump. I'm aware of the price point. It's not just the price, it's the maintenance, the insurance costs, the premium fuel requirements. Have you considered something more appropriate for your current situation? We have some lovely certified pre-owned vehicles that might be a better fit. Maya had anticipated this. I'm specifically interested in the GTS. That's the vehicle I'd like to test drive. David shifted his weight. Ms. Richardson, the GTS is a $180,000 vehicle. Our insurance requires that test drivers demonstrate financial capability before we can release a vehicle of that caliber. It's standard policy. Then I'll demonstrate financial capability. What do you need? Well, we'd need to see proof of income, credit pre-approval, or evidence of liquid assets sufficient to cover the purchase. Maya opened her phone, pulled up her banking app, and showed him the screen. The balance showed $847,000 in her primary checking account, money from her book advance and speaking fees, waiting to be invested. David glanced at it. Anyone can edit screenshots these days. That's not a screenshot. It's the live app. You can see the real-time timestamp. Still, I can't verify. Fine. Maya opened her investment portfolio up $2.3 million across various holdings. Is this sufficient? David's jaw tightened. Ms. Richardson, I don't appreciate being tested. If you're here to cause trouble. I'm here to test drive a vehicle I'm interested in purchasing. Why is that troublesome? A manager had approached, a white woman in her 50s, name tag reading Patricia Henley, sales manager. Is there a problem, David? This woman is insisting on test driving the GTS without proper qualification. I've shown him nearly $1 million in liquid assets, Maya said calmly. How much qualification is required? Patricia looked Maya up and down. Our premium vehicles require serious buyers. We can't have people test driving our most expensive inventory just for fun. I'm a serious buyer. Then you won't mind filling out a credit application so we can verify your financial position properly. Maya had researched this. Credit applications for test drives weren't standard practice. They were used selectively to create barriers. I'll fill out an application if you require everyone to do so. Did that couple testing the sedan fill one out? That's different. How? Patricia's expression hardened. If you're not going to cooperate with our standard procedures. Your standard procedures seem to apply selectively. Maya's voice remained level, but her phone was recording every word. I've demonstrated significant financial capability. I've requested a specific vehicle. And I'm being asked to jump through hoops that other customers weren't required to navigate. Those customers had appointments. So did I. I called yesterday. We have no record of your appointment. That's convenient. Patricia stepped closer. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disrupting our business. I'm attempting to conduct business. You're preventing it. David, please escort this woman out. Maya stood. Before I leave, you should know something. I'm Maya Richardson. I write for Automotive Excellence magazine. I have 200,000 followers on social media, and I've been documenting this entire interaction. The showroom had gone quiet. Other customers were watching. The salespeople had stopped mid-conversation. Patricia's face went pale. You're a journalist. I'm also a potential customer and an investment advisor. I was considering recommending a $2.3 million investment in your parent company. Past tense. Maya pulled out her real business card, the one with her professional credentials. David took it with shaking hands. Ms. Richardson, if we had known. That's exactly the problem, Maya interrupted. You didn't know. You made assumptions based on how I looked. And those assumptions just cost you significantly more than a test drive. She walked toward the exit. As she pushed through the glass doors, she heard Patricia hiss to David, "Get corporate on the phone. Now." Outside, Maya sat in her actual vehicle, a Tesla Model S she'd parked 3 blocks away, and began transcribing notes. Her phone was already buzzing with responses to her tweet. Her editor called within minutes. "Maya, your tweet is blowing up. What happened?" Exactly what the complaints described. Textbook discrimination. I have it all recorded. How public do you want to go? Maya thought about the 8 complaints that had been dismissed, about the countless others who'd experienced similar treatment but hadn't reported it, about the systemic pattern that continued because institutions protected themselves instead of customers. Full transparency. Article, recordings, and I'm calling the parent company's CEO directly. This ends now. Maya's article went live 48 hours later. I tried to buy a $180,000 car while black, an investigation into luxury retail discrimination. The piece detailed her experience alongside the 8 previous complaints, documented patterns of discriminatory practices, and included carefully edited audio clips that proved every claim. Within 6 hours, it had 500,000 views. By day 2, 1.2 million. Major news outlets picked it up. The hashtag #PrestigeMotorsBias trended nationally. But Maya wasn't done. She'd spent 3 weeks investigating further, and her follow-up article revealed something more troubling. Prestige Motors' discriminatory practices were linked to their commission structure. Salespeople earned higher bonuses for upselling financing at inflated rates, and internal communications showed they specifically targeted minority customers for these predatory loans. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced an investigation within 72 hours. The parent company, Automotive Holdings International, issued a statement. "We are deeply troubled by the allegations against Prestige Motors. We are conducting a thorough investigation and will take appropriate action to ensure all customers receive respectful, equitable service." But Maya had learned that thorough investigation often meant wait until media attention fades. She made a phone call. "Mr. Chen, this is Maya Richardson. I believe we spoke last month about my investment advisory services." Robert Chen was CEO of Automotive Holdings International. He'd been trying to court Richardson Capital Ventures for months, hoping Maya would recommend his company to her network of high-net-worth clients. "Ms. Richardson, I've been hoping to hear from you, though I wish it were under better circumstances." "The circumstances are entirely of your company's making, Mr. Chen. I experienced firsthand the discrimination that 8 previous customers reported and your management dismissed. Now the question is, what are you going to do about it?" "We're investigating." "I don't want investigations that protect your liability. I want systematic change, real accountability, transparent reporting. Are you willing to implement that?" Silence on the other end. "Then, what exactly are you proposing?" "I'll send you a detailed plan. But the basics, mandatory bias training for all staff, mystery shopper audits, public reporting of sales practices by customer demographics, independent oversight, and restitution for affected customers." That's extensive. It's the minimum required to address systemic discrimination. And Mr. Chen, if you don't implement these changes, I won't just decline to invest. I'll actively recommend that my entire network divest from your company. Your stock is already down 4.2% this week. Imagine what happens when institutional investors start pulling out. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a path forward. Take it or don't. But the days of quietly dismissing discrimination complaints are over. The next morning, Maya received a call from Patricia Henley. "Ms. Richardson, I wanted to apologize personally. I was wrong." "Patricia, with respect, personal apologies don't interest me. Institutional change does. Are you willing to testify honestly about the practices at Prestige Motors? Are you willing to help implement reforms?" Yes. I've seen things I knew were wrong and I stayed silent. I want to help fix this. Then document everything. Every discriminatory practice you've witnessed. Every policy that enabled it. Every conversation with management about those kinds of customers. All of it. I could lose my job. You could also help prevent this from happening to others. The choice is yours. Patricia chose documentation. 3 months later, Maya stood in a conference room at Automotive Holdings International headquarters. The boardroom held Robert Chen, the company's legal counsel, HR director, and representatives from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. On the wall, data displayed the results of 3 months of mystery shopper audits. Black customers waited 47% longer than white customers before being approached. Latino customers were quoted interest rates averaging 1.8% higher than white customers with identical credit scores. Asian customers were steered toward lower-priced vehicles 62% of the time regardless of stated budget. Female customers of all races were subjected to mansplaining and assumptions of automotive ignorance. This data comes from 200 mystery shopping visits across your 47 dealerships, Maya explained. It's not isolated to Prestige Motors. It's systemic across your entire operation. Robert Chen looked physically ill. I had no idea the pattern was this extensive. That's because you weren't looking. You dismissed individual complaints as misunderstandings instead of seeing them as symptoms of institutional bias. What's the solution? Maya clicked to her next slide. Required interventions for Automotive Holdings International. First, mandatory bias training for all sales staff and management. Not online modules people click through, actual interactive training with role-playing scenarios and accountability measures. Second, revised commission structures that remove incentives for predatory lending practices. Flat commission rates regardless of financing terms. Third, mystery shopper audits quarterly, with results published publicly. Full transparency on customer service metrics broken down by demographics. Fourth, independent customer advocates at each dealership, specifically tasked with identifying and addressing discriminatory practices. Fifth, fast-track complaint resolution with penalties for dismissing valid discrimination claims. Sixth, restitution for customers who were charged higher interest rates or steered away from vehicles due to bias. We've identified 340 cases over the past 3 years. The legal counsel cleared his throat. Ms. Richardson, you understand that publicly acknowledging these failures could expose us to significant liability. You're already exposed. The CFPB investigation will uncover the same patterns I found. Your choice is between controlling the narrative with proactive change or being forced into compliance by regulators. Which sounds better? Robert Chen made his decision. We'll implement all 6 interventions. Timeline. Training begins within 30 days. First mystery shopper audit in 60 days. Restitution process starts immediately. First public transparency report in 90 days. Agreed. Patricia Henley, who'd been invited to the meeting as part of her cooperation agreement, spoke up. There's something else that needs to change. The language we use. I've heard managers talk about those customers and tire kickers and time wasters. Code words we all understood meant minority customers. That culture has to change. You're right, Maya said. Which is why the training will specifically address coded language and implicit bias. Patricia, would you be willing to help develop that training? Yes, absolutely. The reforms rolled out over the following months. Month 1, David Thompson and 2 other salespeople at Prestige Motors were terminated for documented discriminatory practices. Patricia Henley was promoted to general manager with a mandate to rebuild the culture. Month 2, the first round of bias training was completed. Feedback was mixed. Some staff embraced it, others were defensive, but everyone completed it, and everyone understood it was now non-negotiable. Month 3, the first transparency report was published. The data was ugly, showing clear disparities across multiple metrics. But it also showed early signs of improvement as staff became aware they were being monitored. Month 4, restitution began. 340 customers received notification that they'd been charged unfair interest rates or steered away from vehicles due to bias. Total restitution, $4.2 million. Month 5, Maya wrote her follow-up article, When Corporations Choose Accountability, Automotive Holdings International's Journey from Discrimination to Transparency. The article documented the changes, acknowledged the company's initial resistance, and praised their ultimate commitment to reform. It became a case study in how institutions could transform when forced to confront their failures. Month 6, Maya returned to Prestige Motors, this time as herself, professionally dressed, driving her Tesla. Patricia greeted her at the door. Ms. Richardson, welcome back. I imagine this visit feels different than your last one. It does. Show me what's changed. They walked through the showroom. The sales staff was more diverse. Patricia had hired 3 new salespeople of color as part of the culture shift. Customer service training materials were displayed prominently. An independent customer advocate's office was clearly marked near the entrance. We track every customer interaction now, Patricia explained. Wait times, which vehicles they are shown, whether they are offered test drives. The data goes directly to corporate and to the independent auditors. We can't hide anymore. How's the staff responding? Honestly, some love it. They appreciate having clear standards and accountability. Some resented it at first but are coming around as they see it's serious. And we let go of 3 people who refused to adapt. Maya approached the GTS Coupe, the vehicle she'd originally wanted to test drive. So if I asked to test drive this now? Patricia smiled. I'd ask what time works for you and get the keys. That's simple. That's simple. You're a customer expressing interest in a vehicle. That's all that should matter. They sat in Patricia's office, and Maya pulled out documents. I'm still considering that investment in Automotive Holdings International. Patricia's eyes widened. Seriously, after everything, because of everything, they could have fought this. They could have done the minimum and waited for attention to fade. Instead, they chose meaningful change. That's the kind of company worth investing in. So you'll recommend the investment. On one condition, the reforms become permanent company policy, not temporary crisis management. I want board-level commitment to ongoing equity audits and public transparency. I'll make sure Robert knows. 2 weeks later, Automotive Holdings International's board voted unanimously to enshrine the equity practices in company bylaws. Maya authorized a $2.3 million investment. Her investment memo to clients explained, this company failed catastrophically in serving all customers equitably. But when confronted with evidence of systemic bias, they chose accountability over denial, transparency over reputation management, and meaningful change over performative gestures. This is how institutions should respond to failure, and why they deserve support when they do. 1 year after Maya's article, the automotive industry looked different. Her exposé had sparked investigations at 12 luxury dealerships across the country. 6 had faced CFPB enforcement actions. 4 had implemented reforms similar to Automotive Holdings International's. 2 had closed after their discriminatory practices destroyed their reputations. But the most significant change was cultural. Maya stood at the podium of the National Automobile Dealers Association annual conference, addressing 2,000 dealership owners and managers. 1 year ago, I walked into Prestige Motors dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. I was ignored, dismissed, and ultimately asked to leave. Not because I couldn't afford their vehicles. I had nearly $1 million in liquid assets. But because I didn't look like their image of a luxury customer. That experience revealed a truth many of you don't want to acknowledge. The automotive industry has a discrimination problem. Not isolated incidents. Not misunderstandings. Systemic, documented, measurable bias that costs you money and costs customers dignity. She clicked to a slide showing data from the industry-wide audits her article had prompted. When customers of color visit dealerships, they wait longer, receive worse service, and pay more for identical vehicles and financing. This isn't opinion, it's documented fact. And it's costing the industry billions in lost business. Another slide, The business case for equity. Minority consumers represent $3.9 trillion in annual buying power. They are the fastest-growing customer demographic. When you discriminate against them, you're not just being unethical, you're being bad at business. Automotive Holdings International has proven that change is profitable. Since implementing equity reforms, their customer satisfaction scores increased 41%. Their minority market share grew 28%. Their stock price recovered and exceeded pre-scandal levels. This isn't about political correctness. It's about serving all customers well and being rewarded for it. During Q&A, a dealership owner from Texas raised his hand. Ms. Richardson, I appreciate your presentation, but how do we know our staff is discriminating? Most of it seems unconscious. That's exactly why you need systems to measure it. Mystery shoppers. Customer satisfaction data broken down by demographics. Wait time tracking. Financing rate comparisons. You can't fix what you don't measure. And if we find problems, then you address them. Training, accountability, sometimes termination. But most importantly, you build systems that prevent discrimination rather than just punishing it after the fact. A woman from California spoke up. I'm a dealer owner, and I'm a black woman. I've experienced what you described from both sides, as a customer and as a business owner trying to change industry culture. What can those of us who want to lead on this issue do? Maya smiled. Share your story. Document best practices. Mentor other dealers. Create a network of equity-focused dealerships that can support each other. And most importantly, prove that diverse leadership creates better business outcomes. After the conference, Maya was approached by the CEO of Luxury Automotive Group, the industry's largest luxury brand conglomerate. Ms. Richardson, I'd like to hire you as a consultant. Help us implement equity practices across our entire dealer network. I'm not interested in being hired to write a report that sits on a shelf. Neither am I. I want real change. I want you to have authority to audit any dealership, require reforms, and publicly report results. I want accountability. Maya considered. Send me a formal proposal. Include budget for independent auditors, timeline for implementation, and commitment to public transparency. If those elements are there, we'll talk. 3 months later, Maya signed a consulting agreement that gave her unprecedented access and authority across 200 luxury dealerships. Her mandate: document discrimination, implement reforms, and publicly report progress. The industry journal Automotive News called it the most aggressive equity initiative in automotive retail history. Maya called it the bare minimum for treating all customers with dignity. 2 years after her test drive at Prestige Motors, Maya received an email from a young black woman named Jasmine Carter. Ms. Richardson, I just bought my first car from Prestige Motors. I was nervous because I'd heard stories about how dealerships treat people who look like me. But the experience was completely different than I expected. The salesperson was respectful, patient, and never made me feel like I didn't belong. Afterward, I learned about what you did, how you exposed the discrimination and forced them to change. I wanted to say thank you. Because of your courage, I was treated with dignity. That matters more than you know. Maya read the email 3 times. This was the real victory, not the articles or the consulting contracts or the industry recognition. It was Jasmine Carter walking into a dealership and being treated like every customer should be treated, with respect. Her phone buzzed. Robert Chen calling. Maya, just wanted to update you. Our annual equity report is out. Customer satisfaction scores are at all-time highs across all demographics. We've had 0 discrimination complaints filed in 6 months. And our minority market share is up 34% year-over-year. That's excellent progress, Robert. But don't get complacent. Systems require constant attention. Understood. Which is why I'm calling. The board wants to establish a permanent equity officer position. We'd like you to recommend candidates. I'll send you names. But Robert, make sure whoever you hire has real authority. Not a performative role, actual power to audit practices and require changes. Agreed. You taught us that meaningful change requires meaningful commitment. After the call ended, Maya opened her laptop and began drafting her next article. 2 years after Prestige Motors, what the automotive industry learned about discrimination, accountability, and profit. She wrote, "Change doesn't happen because institutions suddenly develop ethics. It happens because someone makes discrimination visible, documented, and undeniable. It happens when customers refuse to accept that's just how things are. It happens when journalists investigate patterns instead of isolated incidents. The automotive industry still has work to do. But in 2 years, we've seen measurable progress, fewer discrimination complaints, better customer satisfaction across demographics, and proof that equity is profitable. This is what accountability looks like. Not perfect, but better. Not finished, but committed. Not easy, but necessary. To anyone experiencing discrimination in retail, document it. Report it. Share your story. The system can change, but only if we refuse to stay silent." Maya hit publish, then stood and walked to her window overlooking Manhattan. Somewhere out there, someone was walking into a dealership, nervous about how they'd be treated. Because of her work, because of Jasmine Carter's email, because of systematic reforms, maybe that person would be treated with dignity. That was worth every uncomfortable moment of her undercover assessment. Worth the confrontations, the legal battles, the exhausting work of forcing institutions to change. Because dignity shouldn't depend on appearance, wealth, or power. It should be universal. And when it isn't, someone has to fight to make it so. If you experience discrimination in automotive retail or any consumer service, document everything: photos, names, dates, conversations. Record if legal in your state. Check local recording consent laws. Report it. File complaints with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau 855-411-2372, Federal Trade Commission, and your State Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. Share your story. Consumer advocacy organizations like the National Consumer Law Center can help. Your experience matters. Know your rights. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act prohibits discrimination in lending. The Fair Housing Act covers auto financing. You have legal protection. Discrimination isn't just wrong, it's often illegal. Don't accept it as normal. Challenge it. Document it. Report it. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. Change happens when we refuse to stay silent. Share this story. Subscribe for more stories of accountability and justice. And if you witness discrimination, speak up.